Hello everybody, my name is Zeus Valentine and this is my presentation for the point of decision prompt for senior citizens to hopefully encourage them to engage in more frequent, short, safe walks around their assisted living facility. One of the reasons why this topic is so interesting to me is because I'm a student physical therapist who is prioritizing senior wellness and fitness. I own a company called Olympian Health Solutions where I'm a portable personal trainer specializing in senior care, uh, prescribing exercises that help reduce pain, improve daily tasks of living, and so on. And I have been born and raised very thankfully by my grandparents. They are incredible people, and I feel that it is my responsibility to dedicate my passion to improving the quality of life for the elders, just as they, in my opinion, saved my childhood. So without further ado, let's get started with the presentation. So for this population, our point of decision prompt is one that encourages a safe, fun, and pleasant walk. It does this primarily through a couple of mechanisms, mostly by reassuring them that they will feel safe and confident throughout the walk by providing information about the distance and the amenities along the way. So for the subgroup of our demographic being elder adults 65 and older, we will be specifically paying attention to adults living in assisted living facilities. This means that the other adults accountable for maintaining physical activity adherence falls onto the family, peers, caregivers, and staff of the facility. This makes it very exciting because it is a socially driven community, and this influences accountability and more reliable measurements of our outcomes. An additional benefit of assisted living facilities is the indoor usage of activity centers or event centers. This allows us to overcome one of the primary barriers of physical activity, which is inclement weather. There is no excuse for weather if we're remaining inside. However, there are other barriers that can still be imposed onto it. The current physical activity levels of this population is likely the worst throughout the world. Senior citizens tend to be there's less than 15% of them who meet the guideline recommendations. However, a very important finding from the research compiled through this group is there is not a minimum amount of exercise necessary to start getting the benefits associated to exercise. This means that any amount of activity is shown to cause benefits attributed to participating in physical activity. So anything's better than nothing, and that is the primary goal of this POD. Now, since one of the primary goals of this POD prompt is to increase the frequency of walks participated in the assisted living facility, let's address some of the barriers that we might need to overcome throughout this program. Beginning with the fear and history of falling. Interestingly, research indicates that the fear of falling is a much more powerful predictor of lack of physical activity adherence than an actual history of falling is. This means by overcoming the fear of falling, we will dramatically increase the likelihood that people will frequently participate in walks. Additionally, there is a lot of psychological barriers that can be opposed. However, within the assisted living facility, I would argue that the internalized ageism, low motivation, and exercise feeling intimidating is a less likely to have a powerful influence on those decisions, as the community is able to support themselves better within that same population. In the assisted living facility, we overcome many of the environmental issues, and the informational and social norms is probably the most important thing that we will be addressing throughout this plan, because framing the information in a way that allows them to feel safe and fun is the primary goal here. So some powerful support systems that we can implement to improve physical activity ratings in the assisted living facility would be highlighting the route is safe and showing that by addressing it as a familiar route, something that they know within close proximity. Additionally, a visible cue that the sign is large enough to grab their attention and keeping it novel, so changing it up, maybe altering the location a little bit. Also, social reinforcement will be very important. The social norm of the community center, with the caregiver's influence, what their friends are doing. This could possibly be influenced with an incentivization program such as a stamp card or a buddy system. And lastly, an achievable goal. It's important that they're aware it is achievable for them to complete this task. So when it comes to helping an entire population or helping a specific individual within this demographic, there are two separate major approaches that seem to be more helpful at one group than another. Programs that help individuals will be personal trainers, gym memberships, a community center, health education, and guided instruction. However, this is not realistic to provide for the entire institution, and with those resources already available, if they were likely to participate in them, they would have likely already began that. But however, at a population level, immediate environmental cues, the social norm, prompts being placed in strategic, methodical areas, and information about the walk and what they'll be participating in will dramatically improve the overall community level ratings of adherence rather than just the individual. So what research have we found to form this POD sign? Well, the research shows that older adults often will not exercise unless it is tied to something more enjoyable, such as going on a walk with their kids or going to a park. So this means that we need to wrap exercise, physical activity into something else. We need to mask it as something else. With this sign, we are strategically saying a walk to the duck pond or a different viewpoint that is local. The design choice is important because we are providing information to reduce the fear of the unknown and risk of falling. So a time frame saying 2-minute walk, and then letting them know what is in store for them, being the duck pond is only 2 minutes away. There's a bathroom over there. There are guardrails on the route. Now, the assisted living adaptation, if you are inside, we can also make it on the inside of a walk. This can be the interior perimeter of the facility, and we can use art rooms, community centers, or other areas to promote the reward at the end, such as community center art cycling or so forth. All right, so here is our sign, POD prompt, simple strolls. This sign will be placed at a bench or in front of line of sight at a viewpoint in a window. It says, loving the view, there is more to see. It's only a 2-minute walk to the duck pond. A quick stroll will boost your mood and improve sleep quality. Now that's nothing to quack about. So there's research to support the claim at the bottom, and the 2-minute walk is the highlight of reducing the fear of the unknown, while the duck pond is the reward at the end of the walk. So the primary goal of this sign is meant to be viewed by residents who've paused at a bench or viewing from a window, and instead of them sitting down or returning to their room, the idea is to get them to participate in just a short more walk, a couple more steps to get to the viewpoint ahead. Once we begin implementing this sign, how will we measure its success? Well, I think that we should first wait 2 weeks and measure the amount of frequent walks participated on residents' own volition. And then once we implement the sign, we will then begin to track the frequency of walks participated in subsequent for the following 2 weeks. I expect after 2 weeks of that sign being up, that short-term outcomes will already begin to be noticed, such as higher route awareness, which will improve the adherency and likelihood of participating on the walk. There will be less fear because they have shown that they're able to do it, which will allow us to progress into even more ambitious walks later on. And the initiation friction to get started should also drop. How will we be able to measure? Well, I propose a buddy system or a stamp card to be included underneath the sign in somewhat of a box to where maybe there can be sign-off sheets, stickers, or something of the sort. So in conclusion, for older adults, the best way to improve physical activity ratings is likely by modulating the environment, providing information to reduce the fear of the unknown, and making it as easy as possible to participate in small bouts of exercise. The research shows that adults face many barriers to movement, but any amount of activity provides an extreme benefit for them. So by reducing the fear and making it as easy as possible, I hope that assisted living facility members will be able to participate in more walks, improving their quality of life and their physical activity ratings. Thank you and goodbye. Thank you for watching my lecture.